AG1 is the King Kong of the supplement space. They are projected to have generated $600 million in 2025. It's the legacy giant that has been around for 15 years. It has massive awareness, huge podcast footprint, and years of brand equity. But IM8, on the other hand, is the new kid on the block, and it's scaling insanely fast. They're aggressively trying not only to challenge, but also to dethrone AG1. They managed to achieve over $100 million in annualized revenue in 11 months when it took AG1 almost 10 years to achieve the same. So in this video, I'm gonna go through who's winning the marketing race, why IM8 is scaling insanely fast, what steps AG1 is taking to keep their dominance, and what are some unique strategies that you can leverage for your ecom brands to continue scaling fast. My name is Hussam, founder of PowerMyMarketing.com, an e-commerce email and SMS retention agency. I've been in ecom for over 12 years, and in the past few years, we helped over 40 brands double, triple, and in some instances, 12x their email revenue in as little as 30 days. In this video, I'm gonna break everything down, including the difference in both of their products and formulas and how IM8 is trying to position themselves as the superior product. I'm also gonna walk you through both of their marketing approach and focus and show you exactly how IM8 is using bold and aggressive marketing to gain market share. We're gonna go through their ads both on Meta and Google, including the type of ads, the offers they are promoting, and the angles and hooks they are using to get attention and convert people. I'm also gonna walk you through both of their retention programs and how IM8 is using two psychological principles to capture as much of their valuable traffic as possible. We're also going to go through their welcome flows, campaign structure, and much more. So let's get straight into it. So let's first go through their product and specifically their product formula. So if you go to their website, they are trying to compare themselves directly to the biggest competitor, which is AG1. I know that they are saying leading greens powder, so they are not directly calling out AG1, but they are having a green canister that looks exactly like AG1 here. So they are trying to be a little bit mild on the website, but on their emails, they have a specific email, for example, in the welcome flow that says why IM8 leaves AG1 behind. So they are trying to be very aggressive there, and everyone knows that this is AG1. And also at the bottom of their website, they have direct links to comparisons as well. So IM8 versus AG1 Next Gen, IM8 versus Live It Up, IM8 versus Bloom Greens, and IM8 versus Huel. So yeah, they're not shy of being confrontational. So in terms of their product formulation, so you will notice two main things. So the first one is that they have extra things compared to AG1 or the leading greens powder, as they say here. And the second thing is that they have higher dosages. So if you take a look here, they have vitamin D3 and K2 as part of their formulation here. However, AG1, they don't have these as part of the powder. They offer it separately with a subscription. So if you buy a subscription, they give you a year's supply of vitamin D3 and K2. So yeah, technically it's included, but it's not part of the powder. So another example is that IM8 here, they have 100 milligrams of CoQ10. The CoQ10 dosage on AG1 is not disclosed or included here. They have 1,000 milligram of MSM, and AG1 does not have MSM at all. So you will notice here that they say a lot of this clinical dose. So I don't know exactly what this means. So I'm assuming it's just a marketing term to make people feel or believe it's the perfect dosage for them. However, if this was the perfect dosage, then I believe AG1 would do the same as well. So I'm not sure, it's probably a marketing term. They're trying to position themselves as being a better alternative, and having higher dosages does not necessarily mean it's better for your health, because with a lot of these compounds, the body gets rid of any extra. But yeah, they are doing a very good job at positioning themselves as the superior product. So for example, they have 50% more of a prebiotic fiber compared to AG1 or the leading greens powder. They have 114% more vitamin C. They have 110 more riboflavin. They have 150 more magnesium, etc. And they have some extra stuff as well. For example, they have molybdenum, they have iodine, they have higher count of probiotics, they have postbiotics, which AG1 does not have. Cell rejuvenation technology, they don't use stevia, they use fermented sugarcane extract, while AG1 uses stevia. They require no refrigeration, which is actually really good. So they have shelf-stable probiotics, which AG1, I believe, does not have, because AG1, as soon as you open the package, you need to put it in the fridge. And they have some branded ingredients here, which AG1 does not have. So as you can see, they are using two angles to show that they are superior to AG1. The first one is they have higher clinical dosages, and the second one is that they have more stuff compared to AG1. The second thing I wanted to go through is the product range. So let's start with the main product. With AG1, they offer two main products. The first one is the AG1 Next Gen. It's the product they've been selling for a long time here. However, on August, I believe 2025, they added this new product, which is called the AGZ, which is supposed to help people with their sleep. They don't sell these two products as a bundle, which I think is a huge missed opportunity here. So you need to add them separately to cart. For IM8, they sell two separate products. The first one is their essentials and the second one is longevity. So they are trying to capitalize on the growing longevity space here. The advantage here is they sell what they call the David Beckham stack. So they have these two products bundled together, and this gets them a massive AOV upfront and also customer lifetime value. This helps them spend even more at the top of the funnel to continue scaling faster. In terms of additional products, AG1 offers the vitamin D3 and K2 drops. So this is the product they offer. You will get this basically part of the subscription. And the second product they sell is the omega-3 fish oil here, which is supposed to help with heart, brain, and inflammation support. On the other hand, IM8 does not really offer any supplemental or additional products. They have the vitamin D3 and K2 as part of their main powder. However, they offer what they call a 90-day program, which I thought was very, very interesting. It's basically a content membership for people who buy 90 days worth of supplements, and it has a lot of valuable content from their top advisors here. For example, they offer content from this physician at the Mayo Clinic, from David Beckham's trainer, from this nutrition specialist, from this athlete called the Real Aquaman, who's a world record free diver, etc. And this is very, very important because they are trying to get investment from people when they subscribe to the 90-day program and they also watch this content. They are more likely to renew their subscription after. So I thought this was very, very interesting for them. So let's now go through their branding. And the first one is going to be the colors. For AG1, they are using the dark green, which is the standard for a greens powder, which signifies nature and plants, safety, calm and balance, and longevity and sustainability. So for IM8, they went the complete opposite direction here and went with something that is really, really bold, which is this dark red here. And it signifies basically energy and power, urgency and action, performance and identity, and competitive dominance. They are clearly trying to stand out in the market. In terms of tone of voice, if you take a look at their website or marketing messages or emails, you will notice that AG1's tone of voice is more calm and reassuring. It's more institutional, measured, careful, and very mild. They avoid all sorts of hype, urgency, or confrontation, for example, against other competitors in their space, and they sound more like a trusted advisor or a clinician. IM8, on the other hand, they position themselves as the superior product, so they clearly say on their website and all of their marketing messages that they are better, they are direct and assertive, they are confrontational, they use a lot of urgency, and they use language designed to provoke action and also belief. So in terms of their positioning, for AG1, it's the default daily nutrition choice. So in terms of positioning message, this is the safe, proven foundation. With IM8, on the other hand, they position themselves as an upgrade to traditional greens, and they appeal a lot to performance-oriented, optimization-minded consumers. So in terms of their positioning message, it feels like they are saying this is what you switch to once you know better. So they are trying to be very, very aggressive. So let's go through their marketing focus and specifically the use of authority and social proof. So they are both using a ton of authority and social proof, but they are using it a little bit differently. So for AG1, they are using a lot of long-term partnerships, for example, podcasts, athletes, creators, etc. And they were actually one of the first brands to pioneer the podcast sponsorship space. They are sponsors of some of the biggest names in the space, for example, Joe Rogan, Tim Ferriss, Andrew Huberman, etc. And their marketing is optimized for credibility and trust, and they are less reactive, more consistent, and very, very mild in their messaging. So for example, if you take a look at their website, you will notice that they use a lot of experts here like Andrew Huberman, Laura Phillip, Lewis Hamilton. So they are trying to gain that authority and social proof as well. They are using a lot of reviews from especially customers who've been with them for a long time. So this is an advantage they have over IM8. And they also use more of these influencers or authors, and that's pretty much it. On the other hand, IM8 leverages a lot of founder authority, in this case, David Beckham, who's a very, very internationally famous football or soccer player and also married to one of the Spice Girls. They also leverage much more authority and social proof, even more than AG1, and they lead with a social first creative built for virality, and they do a lot of direct comparisons, bold claims with aggressive messaging here. So if you take a look at their website, you will see that on their homepage, they immediately lead with David Beckham here. They have a lot of athletes here, for example, Dustin Poirier from the UFC. They also leverage social proof here. They say they have over 500,000 customers, which is pretty impressive here. They have some stats here. They have a lot of experts here, and they do a lot of name dropping. For example, from this professor here, she's at Sinai Human Microbiome Research Institute. This guy here is from NASA, and this doctor here is from the Mayo Clinic. So when people read these, it's a lot of authority. So they are more likely to trust this brand. So if you scroll down again, a little bit of David Beckham here, then they have some benefits here, and then they do the comparison compared to AG1 here, and they have a lot of social proof from these athletes as well, plus a lot of doctors as well. So you can see that they massively leverage this authority and the social proof concept and take it to the next level here. So in terms of the next thing that is different between the two of them, AG1 does not do any comparisons. They're not very aggressive. They don't call out other brands. However, IM8 is not shy about doing that. So they have literally pages on their website where they have direct comparisons with another leading supplements brand. So for example, if you go to their website, at the very bottom of the homepage here, you will see links that say IM8 versus AG1, IM8 versus Live It Up, IM8 versus Bloom Greens, IM8 versus Huel's Daily Greens here. So let's say, for example, we click on the IM8 versus AG1. So they have a direct comparison from this Dr. Amy Shah here, which is pretty impressive. So they go through both of the products in deep detail here. Another interesting thing that I noticed is that they call out AG1 about something in their formulation. So apparently they tested the AG1 powder and they basically found slightly elevated levels of heavy metals, which is not very good for health. And they literally call them out here and highlight it in yellow, so you can't actually miss it. The fourth thing I wanted to go through is their subscription offer. So in terms of the main product, AG1 offers the metal canister plus the metal spoon. They offer 3 travel packages, and they also offer this free shaker. When I ordered AG1 initially, I was very impressed by the quality of their packaging and also these free products. So they know once they get someone on their subscription, they will start feeling better and they are more likely to stay maybe for 6 or 12 months. So they factor in the cost of these accessories and they know they will be profitable. So for IM8, they offer a pretty similar package. They offer the signature red cup for free. They offer 5 single serve sachets for free instead of 3. And they also offer a welcome booklet plus a note from David Beckham for free. So I'm not sure if this has a lot of pull because the note from David Beckham is a generic note. It's not like he's sending a personal note to each customer. And for the welcome booklet, I'm not sure if it's a notebook or maybe something that has some health advice or something like that. But in terms of offers for the main products, they are pretty similar here. So for the secondary product, AG1 offers a free frother with their AGZ subscription purchase, and IM8, they offer the same package for both products, whether you're buying their essentials product or their longevity product. So let's go through the pricing now, and keep in mind that their offerings are changing constantly. So I noticed lately that AG1 has been more aggressive with their pricing and the offering because I believe they realize they are losing market share to IM8 and other brands as well. So they are trying to compensate for that. So in terms of pricing, let's go through AG1 with the one-time purchase. So one-time purchase of the main AG1 product is $99, and with the sleep product AGZ, it's $99. So they are the same. However, they don't have a bundle, which I think is a huge missed opportunity here. So yeah, you can't buy the bundle directly. You have to add these products separately. And when you do, you don't save anything. So they will cost you $198. IM8, on the other hand, they charge $112 for the essentials product. So it's more expensive than AG1, which makes sense because it has more stuff and it also has higher dosages. However, for the longevity product, they price it at $149, which is very expensive for a supplement. They also don't offer any bundles when you buy one time, and it will cost you $261 with no savings at all. So you will see here that it's significantly more expensive than AG1. So in terms of the subscription, when you subscribe to AG1, you will get it for $79 a month. And when you subscribe to AGZ, you will get it for $79 per month as well. And if you add them as part of a bundle, this is the subscription. So if you add the AG1 subscription and then add the AGZ subscription, they will actually give you a $10 saving, which will end up costing you $148. So in terms of the subscription for IM8, it's a little bit more complicated. They have their essentials product, their longevity product, and also they have the bundle, which they call the Beckham stack. So for their essentials, this is the equivalent of AG1. They have a 30-day supply, which is $89 per month. So basically $10 more expensive than AG1. However, the interesting thing is that they also offer a 90-day supply, which will end up costing you $78.3 per month. So this is a significant saving. So you will pay $235 for the 90 days, but you will get significant savings compared to the 30-day supply. And you will actually end up paying less than AG1 here, because AG1 for a month is $79. But if you buy the 3-month package from IM8, you will end up paying less, which is $78.3. And this is very, very important. And we're going to go through why later. So for the longevity product, 30-day supply is $119 per month. And if you buy the 90-day supply, it's going to cost you $104 per month. And you will end up paying $312 upfront. So for the bundle, the Beckham stack, 30-day supply is $178 per month. And the 90-day supply is going to be $169.3 per month. And you will pay $508 upfront. So let's talk about a couple of important things. So you will notice for both brands, they are both trying to discourage one-time purchases and massively incentivizing subscriptions, because they mostly care about LTV, and they know that if they can keep someone subscribed for a few months and they start experiencing some benefits, they are more likely to stay with them for a long time. And then the difference with IM8 and AG1 is that IM8 on top of that is prioritizing the average order value, which will help them to get better cash flow and also scale much faster. It'll also help them reduce churn through habit forming, because if someone just buys the product for 1 month and maybe they don't experience some benefits, they are more likely to cancel. But if they get them into a 90-day commitment, they are more likely to continue with the subscription. So this is very, very important, and it'll basically help them reduce churn through habit forming. So the next thing I wanted to go through is their ads, and let's first go through the meta ads. So you can type in Athletic Greens here and you will see that they are running about 400 ads, which is pretty good. And I actually noticed when I checked about a week ago, I noticed that this number was significantly lower than what they have now. So yeah, I believe they realize that they are losing market share. So they are trying to basically launch as many ads as possible. And these ads span across about 2 months. So that's a lot of volume for ads. In terms of IM8, they are running about 440 ads. So even though they are a fraction of the size of AG1, they are actually running more ads on Meta, which is pretty impressive. And they also span across about 2 months as well. So yeah, this is very, very interesting insight to see. So let's go through more details. So as I mentioned here, in terms of the number of ads, IM8 is running 10% more ads. They were actually running 35% more ads than AG1, but I guess AG1 is trying to catch up here. So the volume is about 200 ads per month, which is pretty impressive. For IM8 is 220. The duration is 2 months. For IM8 is even shorter, 1.5 months. So they are trying to create more fresh ads all the time. In terms of type, for AG1, they use a mix of photo and the video ads. However, for IM8, I noticed that they are using slightly more photo than video ads. They still have a ton of video ads as well. In terms of offer, AG1 is trying to promote the main welcome kit that I highlighted previously. So they have a new offer actually with an additional duffel bag. Again, they are trying to offer more premium products for free, trying to get people into their subscription. They're also offering 10 travel packs instead of 3 or 5. And they also offer an exclusive tumbler. In terms of discounts, they have a 25% off for military members. And they also have this messaging where they say save 50% on your first month, but it's not actually savings. It's just a messaging thing where they count basically the free products as part of the purchase and then they discount them. So you end up with a 50% discount. So in terms of IM8, they mainly promote the welcome kit, and they also have this messaging where they say save 30%, but it's also the same product price. They only factor in the free accessories as well. So yeah, in terms of ads, you will notice that AG1 is actually being more aggressive. They are trying to also have more new items that they can include with their free subscription to combat the growth of IM8. In terms of focus for these ads, so you will notice that AG1 has more mild messaging. They focus a lot on the newness, for example, the new formula, the new flavors, and also the new product, which is AGZ. They highlight a lot of influencer authority videos, for example, from Dr. Huberman, from some nutritionists, sports scientists, etc. They use a lot of USPs and they link them to desired outcomes, for example, better sleep, no bloat, etc. They are now targeting different demographics or audiences. So instead of only focusing on performance athletes or maybe people who train or something like that, they use specific messaging for teachers, for parents, etc. So just trying to branch out and expand and position their product as a daily essential for everyone pretty much. And they use a ton of social proof ads from long-time customers, which is one of the advantages they have over IM8 because IM8 is a new brand. So they have some reviews from customers who've been with them for 5 or 6 years, which leverages loyalty and time in the industry. IM8, on the other hand, they heavily focus on the longevity stack, which is the most expensive, and they have heavy focus on gut issues and health in their ads. They have also additional focus areas like stress, recovery, immunity, etc. Their messaging is more aggressive, hardcore direct response, strong hooks. They use the PAS framework a lot, which is actually one of my favorite frameworks as well. So what you do is basically highlight the main problem, you agitate it a little bit, or as some marketers like to say, twist the knife to try to make it a little bit vivid in your customers' minds, and then you present your product as the solution. So this works incredibly well in copy, and they use a lot of authority, leveraging David Beckham plus other famous athletes and physicians as well. They do a lot of name dropping. They have a lot of social proof as well, before and after results, blood work, for example, someone saying, hey, I did my blood work before taking IM8 versus after, and I noticed there was a significant improvement in my blood markers. So I noticed that they also use AI video ad clips. So it's not very heavy, but I just spotted it a couple of times, which is very interesting. They also make more aggressive claims, and they focus a lot on the 90-day transformation, which is a huge advantage over AG1 because they are trying to get a higher AOV and less churn, because when people stay with them for 2-3 months, they are more likely to experience more benefits and they are more likely to continue with the subscription. So now let's go through their Google ads. So if you go to this link, adstransparency.google.com, and basically type in any brand you'd like here, you will see the type of ads any brand is running on Google. And yeah, you can basically search for Athletic Greens and you will see their website here, and you will notice that they are running about 300 ads, and the messaging is very similar to Facebook. They highlight a lot of, for example, benefits, USP, social proof, etc. And if you go search for IM8, you will notice that they are running double the ads. So instead of 300 that AG1 is running, they are running 600 ads. Again, you will see that even though they are a fraction of the size of AG1, they are being significantly more aggressive, and they are running way more ads at the top of the funnel, because they know if they drive way more traffic at the top of the funnel, they are able to capture as much of that valuable traffic as possible, and then nurture it and then convert it into repeat customers. So this is very important. So now let's go through what I think is the most impressive difference between IM8 and AG1, which is their email and retention program. So first, let's start with the sign up form. This is very important, especially if you're running paid traffic. If you're not capturing as much of that valuable traffic as possible that you spent money acquiring and converting it into subscribers and then eventually repeat customers, then you're not only reducing your ads ROAS, you're also reducing your profitability. So capturing as much of that traffic as possible is a top priority for e-commerce brands. So you will notice here for AG1, they have a regular pop-up. This is the same pop-up that a million other e-commerce brands use. So they say get 26% off your first subscription order, and I think they mean the first month. Basically, you can use this coupon to get 26% off, which is an interesting offer here. However, they ask for the email directly, so basically a regular pop-up. IM8, on the other hand, they are using 2 psychological principles to capture as much of their traffic as possible and convert it into subscribers. And I actually just recently recorded a dedicated video going through 3 psychological triggers that helped us 5x the opt-in rate for a client of ours. He was getting a 4% opt-in rate, and we were able to take him to 21% opt-in rate, and it took us just 30 minutes. So if you'd like to learn more about those 3 psychological principles, then I included the link in the description below. So for IM8 here, you will notice that they are using 2 of the psychological principles. So the first one is called the commitment and consistency, and you will find it in Robert Cialdini's book called Influence. And it's actually the same principle that those people on the street use when they come to you and they ask you a question that they are 99% sure that you're gonna say yes to. For example, do you care about animals or do you care about dogs? They are trying to get a micro yes or micro commitment from you first, because when you say yeses at the beginning, you are more likely to say yes at the end when they ask you for a donation. And this is backed by scientific studies, and that's why it works incredibly well. So it's called commitment and consistency. And the way it works is by adding a pre-opt-in instead of asking for the email directly, because for AG1 here, they are asking for the email directly. When someone lands on the website, they see the pop-up, they know that they need to enter their email, and this adds a little bit of friction. So some people are going to end up closing the pop-up. However, with IM8, they don't ask immediately for the email. They are trying to get a micro commitment. So you have to say yes first and then go to the second screen where you need to enter your email. And people really hate cognitive dissonance, because if they agreed at the beginning to get the discount and then they go to the second screen, they are more likely to opt in at a higher rate. The second principle they are using is called self-identification. So they are trying to list some desired outcomes here, whether it's more energy, a healthier gut, sleep better, perform sharper, etc. So people can self-identify, so they can self-select the desired outcome they are looking for. And when they click on this, they are more invested, and later they are more likely to opt in at a higher rate. And the cool thing about this is that you can actually use property tags, if you are using Klaviyo, for example, to tag these people with these specific categories, so you can send them personalized content based on what they clicked here. So this works incredibly well, not just in terms of doubling or tripling your opt-in rate, but also later in terms of engagement. So for AG1, I noticed that they are asking for a double opt-in, which I believe is massive friction. I understand why they are doing this, because they are trying to reduce bounce rate. Basically, if you get a lot of bot opt-ins, or maybe like people entering a fake email thinking that when they enter a fake email, then they will get the coupon on the next step, and then they don't need to enter the real email. However, this adds a massive friction when someone opts in to get an offer and that they don't receive the offer immediately. They need to go to their email, confirm their subscription, click on this button here, and then wait a little bit for the actual email to land in their inbox. And we tested this in the past, and we always see that double opt-in significantly reduces the number of subscribers that you can get on your list. So on the other hand, you will notice here that IM8 is actually just using a single opt-in. So as soon as you opt in, you immediately receive the email with the offer. So this is a missed opportunity on AG1's part as well. The third thing I noticed is that AG1 does not use a teaser, and the teaser is basically when someone closes your pop-up. So for AG1, it disappears forever. They can't see the offer again. However, for IM8, they are using this teaser where the pop-up closes to something small at the bottom left of the screen here, so they can always click on it later. So for example, they might close the pop-up, and then maybe after they browse your product, they decided to take you up on that offer. Then they just go to the bottom left of the screen, click exclusive savings here, and then they opt in. So this significantly increases your opt-in rate as well. So just from the sign-up forms themselves, you will notice that IM8 is blowing AG1 out of the water. So this is pretty impressive here. So I'm going to go through the entire welcome flow for both brands in a minute, but first I wanted to show you exactly why it's very important to have a capture mechanism and then have a welcome flow on your website. So the first thing is a website without lead capture, and let's say you are driving traffic to your website via ads and you have a standard 3% conversion rate for ecom, and let's say you are getting a 2.5x return on advertising spend. So this is a website without lead capture. However, if you have lead capture and you're driving the same amount of traffic via ads, but now instead of just getting 3% of people to buy directly, you are converting 10 to 15%, sometimes, as in the example for one of our clients, capturing 21% of your traffic and converting it into subscribers, then you're going to put it into a nurture sequence, which is in this case the welcome flow. The 3% who were high intent, they were about to purchase anyway, they will go ahead and place an order. However, the advantage of having a welcome flow is that you're going to convert those people who are still a little bit on the fence, and that will help you increase your immediate ROAS from 2.5x to, for example, 3x or even 4x. And not only that, this will increase your conversion rate because technically you are converting more of your paid traffic into customers, and you can also increase your average order value if you are using bundles and kits correctly. The cool thing is that this doesn't end here. Once people place an order, they go through the post-purchase flows, they go through the loyalty flows, they also start receiving your campaigns, and this will turn them into repeat customers. So this is in the case that you don't offer subscriptions, you sell one-off products. It becomes very important to try to get that second or third or fourth order, because that will significantly increase your customer lifetime value, and also it will make your brand more profitable. This will not only increase your long-term ROAS, but it will also help you become more competitive, because the higher LTV you have, the more you are able to spend at the top of the funnel to be able to continue scaling profitably. So let's compare the welcome flows for both IM8 and AG1. And the biggest thing you will notice here is that IM8 had 7 different emails in their welcome flow. However, AG1 had only 3. So when I opted in, I got 7 emails from IM8 and I only got 3 emails from AG1, excluding the basically confirm your subscription here, which does not really count here. So let's go through the IM8 welcome flow breakdown. You will notice that immediately when someone opts in, immediately they start with authority. So they highlight the face of the brand, which is David Beckham. They say, welcome to IM8. They have a personal note. Then they have some proof from their study. They highlight the top products. And then they have the main offer a little bit higher here to try to get people to click, because the lower you put it in your emails, the less clicks you're gonna get. But generally speaking, the email is pretty good. They focus a lot on unique selling propositions, one of them which is the convenience, and then they have more USPs and benefits as well. The third email, they go through the offer reminder. This is the same offer at the bottom here, and then they break down down the offer, what people are going to get for free. And then they have some authority from their doctors and specialists here. The fourth email is basically the mission, the vision, the story of the brand, basically from David Beckham and how he decided to become a co-founding partner. And they also have a lot more authority. So you'll notice that they are hammering authority in multiple emails. So they highlight a few of their scientific advisors here, which is pretty impressive. And then the other email, this is where the call out is. So us versus them, this is where they have the subject line, which says why IM8 leaves AG1 behind. And you will notice here, even though on their website, they were a little bit mild and they said leading greens powder, on the email they literally say AG1 here, and they highlight exactly how their product is superior to AG1. And in the sixth email here, they have more social proof in terms of reviews. They say real people, real results, IM8 in action. So I'm not sure why a lot of brands, they use this specific phrase, real people, real results. It's really overused and it doesn't achieve much. It actually makes people question things a little bit when you say, hey, these are from real people and these are real results. So it's a little bit weird from a big brand like this. But yeah, anyway, they have some proof from their studies and they have even more authority here in terms of athletes who are using their products. So you can see that they are highlighting and hammering authority multiple times. And then they have the last email, which is an urgency scarcity based email. Don't miss your free IM8 welcome kit. And then again, they have the offer breakdown. And then they go through the main USP for them, which is the convenience of having their product instead of chugging a million different pills here. So as you can see, a pretty good welcome flow that has a good balance between USPs, education, authority, social proof, etc. So for AG1, on the other hand, as I mentioned before, they have the confirm your subscription here, and then they will send you the first email, which says welcome to the AG1 community and some plain text here. Again, a super bad email for a brand that's doing 600 million a year. So this doesn't really achieve much here. So it doesn't do anything. It doesn't encourage anyone to place an order. It doesn't add conviction. So yeah, it doesn't achieve much here. The second email, they say what is AG1, which is basically an educational email. However, the email is full of text and it's not very well designed. So when people see a lot of text like this, they are more likely to abandon. And this is not to say that long text emails do not work, but typically we like to make the emails more digestible and scannable because we know people have very short attention spans as well. So we try to get to the point very quickly and we try to say more with less words here. So then they say, how does AG1 work? Supports your nutrient supply, your daily ritual, symbiosis of ingredients, and then convinced, get your AG1. So there aren't any good hooks here. They don't use emotional language. They don't use authority or social proof like IM8 uses. In terms of the third email, they say how one serving of AG1 nourishes the foundations of your health. So again, very mild and generic headline here. It doesn't trigger any emotional response here. So they have some text here and then they say learn more here and then the results of decades of research. So they try to leverage the time in the industry and then how to use AG1. So as you can see here, honestly, if I didn't know about AG1 before and I just subscribed and received these emails, I wouldn't be incentivized to buy anything from them. So their email program is very poor compared to IM8. Now, this is the comparison of their welcome flow. Let's go through a comparison of their campaigns as well. So for IM8, this is a campaign they sent to me and it's basically a social proof / milestone hybrid. They say 500,000 plus healthier lives. So this is really good. And then they basically hosted some milestone moments around the world. I believe this is the world tennis champion who joined their team as well. And they mentioned that they are now in people's favorite airports, JFK, LAX, SFO, etc. They also were rated 9+ on Subco. So they are just highlighting some social proof, authority, basically some announcements, some milestones, etc. So here they highlight some authority from magazines featuring their products. And then they say here's to a steadier, stronger 2026, start 2026 strong. So yeah, as you can see, a pretty well branded and well designed email. Let's go to AG1 here. A strong start begins with your foundation. Yeah, this is pretty good. It's actually better than the flows they were sending because here they highlight some different areas that their product can help with. So immune support, they have some text here and they have some nuggets of information that are useful to people. For example, they say here, did you know around 70% of your immune cells are associated with your gut, one of your body's largest interfaces with the outside world. And then they have a different angle, which is energy support, because these are going to appeal to different pockets of their demographics. So some people might be interested in immune, Some people might be interested in energy and other people might be interested in gut health or digestive support. And then they have their offer at the bottom here. So yeah, a decent email. And I know it's a little bit different than the concept of the email from IM8, but I noticed in general, IM8 emails, they are more branded. They hammer on the authority and social proof. They also use a lot more direct response like emotional copy, strong hooks, etc. So when I went to milled.com, this is actually a website where you can type a brand name and see basically all of their emails. So I tried to write athletic greens here. So I noticed there are 3 different ones. For example, the US athleticgreens.com, and then the US drinkag1.com, and then there is the UK drinkag1.com as well. And the first 2 ones, they were not actually updated. So the last emails were from November. However, the UK one was updated and I saw some new emails, for example, from January 3rd. This is the email that I just highlighted to you. And then they have ones from December and a few ones from November and October as well. So not a ton of emails here, but in terms of the email campaigns that I actually received from them, you'll notice with AG1, the volume is not consistent at all. They send about 4 to 5 emails per month at most. And I personally only received 3 emails from them in the last 2 months after subscribing. So I received those first 3 emails from the welcome flow, and then I received 2 extra email campaigns. So I'm not sure exactly why they are not sending me emails, but yeah, I haven't received a ton. IM8, on the other hand, they are very, very consistent and they are sending 15 emails per month. So basically an email every couple of days. So they are trying to be more aggressive to convert people into customers. So to sum it up, for the longest time, AG1 has been very, very mild in their marketing. They haven't really paid attention to their email program either, as you saw in the examples before. However, it seems they're shifting gears now as the threat of IM8 looms. IM8, on the other hand, is going full in. They use more authority, social proof. They have higher volume ads to drive more traffic at the top of the funnel. They have better sign-up forms to try to capture more of their valuable traffic and convert it into subscribers. And they are also sending more email to try to convert those subscribers into repeat customers. Their marketing is also more aggressive, bolder claims, direct confrontation, and comparison to much bigger brands in their space. If AG1 does not adjust and evolve their marketing, they will continue to lose market share to this brand. The world is unfortunately more distracted than ever these days, and the brands that can capture and retain attention are going to continue winning over the long term. So if you're running paid ads and you'd like to maximize the value of each single dollar you spend at the top of the funnel, then we're happy to help. We are a full-scale email and SMS retention agency, and we can help you increase your ads ROAS, your website's conversion rate, your average order value, your customer lifetime value, all using email and SMS. We will optimize your email and SMS program to increase your contribution margin and not just top-line revenue. If you're interested in increasing your profitability and continuing to scale year over year, then I'm happy to offer you a free in-depth audit of your email and SMS program. This is 8 to 10 pages of expert recommendations specifically tailored to your brand. All you have to do is click on the link in the description to schedule a quick call with me. Our clients generate between 35 to 50% of their total revenue from email SMS. You will see here that we took Ryan from Holstery from a 12% Clayview attribution to 40%. We also helped Dana at Kingsman Premium consistently stay over 40%, and we peaked at 53%. And we helped Sachin at Fluoro Store increase his email revenue by 7x. And if you'd like to watch more of these case studies, you can check out our website at powermymarketing.com. And if you found this video helpful, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. See you in the next one.